so let's do the water signs. I did want to share with you that we got a 4-leaf clover here. 4-leaf clover. I happen to have a mutant patch of clover in my yard, so we have been blessed with that for you, a 4-leaf clover. That's kind of, I don't want to mess with it because it's gonna, just so you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. You have a 4-leaf clover. Blessing your reading today. It is an April-May reading for you. I'm going to probably be spending my day doing readings because I have today and tomorrow off still, and I normally only have a 2-day weekend, and I get a 4-day weekend. So we will be we're going to do a past, present, future spread, 6 cards each, unless for some reason we have more fall or flip. We're going to use the Book of Answers, which I have been dying to get this book. I got this book a couple months ago, but because I was doing love readings, I didn't get to use it. I didn't want to introduce it mid-reading. So we're going to use this bad boy. And of course, magnetic poetry, which we'll start with. But again, we're using the tarot of the Enchanted Garden for you, which I'm getting used to using. It's a thicker deck again, so can't really shuffle it as well as I would like with my tiny little hands here. I'm clairaudient, clairsentient, and claircognizant when I hear ringing in my ears on the left side messages from my spirit guides, and on the right messages from people I know that have passed on. We did have some songs, but I don't know if they were relevant to you as much as they were relevant to me. So we'll just leave those. Enjoy the Unknown was the first one by And One, a German band. And then All Along the Lee Shore by Crosby, Stills, and Nash, which is a pretty amazing song. It was a little live version, I believe, but yeah. Wolf Like Me. I want to say it was by, I'm not going to check right now. But let's go ahead, twist for fairness for you. And then we'll pull your magnetic poetry first. So, again, check your description box, this description box where you can look at how to find out your rising, moon, and Venus sign if you're not aware of those, because I assume that you're here for your sun sign. What are our magnetic poetry messages for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces for April through to May? We'll see how far. I wanted to do chunks of, by the elements, because I wanted to be able to get people in groups, because I feel like some people just aren't getting their readings done because I'm too busy. I don't just work Monday to Friday. Sometimes I have Sundays as well from home, so I have to rip down my whole setup and, use my other screens, and I work off of 4 screens at the office and 3 screens when I work from home, so I have to actually clear down my whole YouTube setup just to work from my desk for my other job. So anyway, well, not for my other job, for my day job. Anyway, let's see for you. We got a bunch. I'm going to put them in list form if I can here. I don't want to make it like you're, being encouraged to look at these from a sentence format because I say so or something. Grab a piece of paper so you can jot these down. An A. Okay, jot these down. Apologies on the nails. I'm trying to not spend money on frivolous things when there are other things that I need to spend my money on. Pause it here if you need to take a look and jot all the words down. Beautiful. Okay, let's get into your reading. All right. We'll just shuffle them up one more time. I was compelled to shuffle them again. I don't know why, but we're going to. We'll put your 4-leaf clover over here too. We'll see what we can get out of that. Actually, did you know, I was looking it up because I found a 5-leaf clover the other day out of my mutant patch of clover. And it's actually the wealth portion of the clover luck actually only comes when you get the 5th leaf. Love, luck, you'll have to look it up, Google it, you'll see what I mean. But the chances, the probability of getting a 5-leaf clover is actually more rare than getting a 4-leaf clover, which apparently is still rare, but not here, because I have like literally like 20 of them that I have pressed in books and sitting with my laughing Buddha out in my living room. So, you know, anyway. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, twist for fairness. Let's look at your past energy to start. Past energy for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. April through to May, past energy. From here to Venezuela. Somebody's traveling. Somebody's traveling to South America. We're looking at traveling to South America. We've got some flippers here. How many? 3. Yes, because I don't take more than 3, so that's good. What do we have here? And we have the 2 of Swords in the reverse, followed by the 9 of Wands in the reverse, and the 5, or sorry, no, not, sorry, the Lovers in the reverse. A choice was made in love. You felt pressed to make a choice in love. You were no longer sitting at a crossroads here with the 2 of Swords in the reverse. I love the illustrations on these cards, but I'm still getting used to them because the illustrations are quite, like, they're kind of crowded, overcrowded with stuff. 2 Swords in the reverse. No longer sitting in a crossroads. You've taken the blindfold off. You're no longer exercising willful ignorance when it comes to a situation. No longer ignoring things on purpose in the past. Deciding to take one direction. Picking a direction when it comes to something. And no longer, you're dropping that victimhood mindset of the wounded warrior with the 9 of Wands also. Deciding that you're no longer going to sit in that energy of being tired of the struggle, yet on the verge of success. Really, really leaning into the idea that you're going to move forward as opposed to sitting at an impasse and stagnant, stalemate type energy. This is a choice that you have made in love. It's exercising the choice as opposed to sitting in, that stalemate energy that we were talking about with that 2 of Swords. You have made a choice, and maybe even the choice was that you chose yourself as opposed to choosing an individual. Remember, choosing oneself is also a choice when it comes to romantic relationships. Nonetheless, there was a choice here. Gemini energy could be a Cancer, Gemini cusper, so somebody who's born right around the summer solstice. And your choice could have involved Gemini energy, could have been during the Mercury stationing to come out of retrograde, or right before Mercury turned retrograde. But that's what we've got there. What else for the past for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising in the past energy? We have another flipper. Okay. Looks to be 10 of Cups that we have now. Coming up to you. 10 of Cups. The perception that you have out of making this choice is that you're traveling towards something of promise when it comes to emotional fulfillment here. You see on the horizon that there is beauty and promise, and you understand that there is happy family life, happy family and home life associated with this. A perfect union of sorts, something where there's gaiety involved, the ability to have something that's going to, provide you with promise, provide you with something that is deep emotional fulfillment, the zenith of emotional fulfillment, if you will. And you see that as being the result of your choice in the past. You could have seen where the jubilation, the triumphant jubilation from the choice has happened here. That's the result of making your choice. You feel that that brimming of happiness for yourself with it. And sorry, guys, like, I don't know if anybody else is like, oh God, chick looks like her hair is shit today and blah, blah, blah. Today is no makeup day. I put eyebrows on and I threw my hair up, and that's what you're getting because it's Sunday, you know. But anyway, let's see what else. I think there's something about being accepted that there's beauty in that. The acceptance of being as you are and somebody taking you as you are, and that's a part of the reason that you made the choice that you did, or maybe somebody chose you. But it's the acceptance of you as you are, that you didn't have to really pretend to be. And honestly, you shouldn't have to ever pretend to be anybody that you're not. That's how we get into these sticky situations where all of a sudden somebody's like, whoa, 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 I didn't sign up for this later on down the road. Is when we pretend to be something that we're not because we think that's going to please somebody, right? Be who you are, be yourself, come as you are, right? Anyway, because that's what I was hearing was the come as you are type thing. Not necessarily the song, but the phrase, come as you are. Anyway, we have 2 more that we can get for the past energy for you. Yeah, okay. Looks to be Hierophant energy here, unless I'm mistaken. No. Emperor energy. Sorry, give me a sec. I'm going off of the Roman numerals alone and just having to kind of look. And when they're loosely based on the Rider-Waite, you can see kind of that they're supposed to be one thing over another. But anyway, Emperor energy, Aries. So this could have been, like I said, during Aries season. The Emperor there. Could also be that you're dealing with an Aries individual, or you're embodying that leadership energy and really taking control of things yourself. See how he's got that globe in his hand? That's supposed to represent the world there. But nonetheless, what it is for you is it's taking control of your life and embodying that leadership energy, that dominant energy, dominant over domineering. Being the leader rather than the one who follows. And being really confident in your decision making. When it comes to this, it's almost like you're validated in your decision here, because if I look at the edges of these cards, they beautifully stick together, and there's a fluidity to the edges on the cards when they're kind of like, you know, edge to edge here. The fluidity of your choices and how they flow from one to the other. Confidently making confident decisions, being the confident decision maker. Again, you could be dealing with an Aries individual, but what we're really seeing here is the feeling validated that you made the right decisions by that happy feeling as if you have reached that height of emotional fulfillment from the 10 of Cups based on the decision that you made here with that Lovers in reverse. You got sick of just sitting at an impasse and kind of being at, well, I'm not going to choose any direction. Since that 2 of Swords is in the reverse back there. But taking the lead on your own life, really, here with the Emperor. Understanding now that the choice was always yours. And that in so exercising the decision making and living life on your own terms, was really the path forward for you the entire time. And then that's what's resulted in your ultimate happiness. Somebody is kicking themselves that they didn't do that all along. It's like as soon as they started living on their own terms and really taking control of their life from a confident space, that's when they really started to live. And that's when they really started to see emotional fulfillment come forth in their lives, is when they stopped allowing other people to take the reins of their chariot. I feel like I'm dealing with a Cancer individual here. Even though I'm talking from the space of confident leadership energy of this Aries, and I'm looking at the choices that were made with that Lovers card, we're talking about movement forward and the confident striking forth of one's own accord and of one's own volition, and how that really resulted in the emotional fulfillment that other people chase after their entire lives. Okay. What else in the past? Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. That's too many. This is too many. I can't take this many cards for you. You got a lot to say about it. It's almost like somebody's going, yeah, and da 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 da. But you know, we can't just do that. We can't just do that. Tell me more. The confidence striking forth was what really helped you realize where you were unhappy before and where you will no longer accept anything less than making your own decisions. Because when you make your own decisions, and you do it because you chose to, because it was your choice, and because it was something that you wanted, then you can accept accountability for when things go wrong, instead of having to say, well, it wasn't really even my choice to begin with. That's where the sour bitterness comes in for some people, is when they feel robbed of the initial choice. Then when things go sideways, when shit goes wrong, then that's when the finger pointing happens, and that's when the real bitterness enters, right? If it was always your choice to begin with, and you can justify when shit goes sideways. You can be like, okay, well, I was the one who chose to do this, that, or the other, right? You don't feel robbed or whatever you want to call it, Somebody's dealing with somebody named Robert. Keep going. What else in the past? Finally in the past. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay. 5 of Cups. Yeah, there's still a sense of regret looking back over the things from the past. There's a sense of regret, and I think it's immediately linked to the fact that there were things in the past that you did not take control of, and that those decisions, it's like I was just saying, the decisions that you didn't make of your own volition, where you allowed other people to make decisions for you. There's a little bit of a sense of regret over that. The things that you lost as a result of other people taking control of your life or choosing for you how things were going to unfold. I think the big thing here is to exercise gratitude, to learn to focus on what you do have, the result of those things that did work out, rather than looking at what has spilled, the things that have spilled over there. I mean, that's a universal truth, and the 5 of Cups so aptly portrays that, just in remembering to keep in mind that which is spilled is lost. However, you do still have 2 cups behind you that are the result of all of those things. You still have that, so exercise gratitude over it. It's almost like saying crying, no more crying over spilt milk, right? But you do have the regret, the recognition here of regret over those past choices that you made that you did not preside over, that you did not take control of your own life and say, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. There's almost like there were 3 major things, in particular, 3 major things that you in the past did not have final say over. And because you didn't have final say over those things are things of deep regret that you focus on from time to time. You might even perseverate on them to the point of, kind of wallowing a little bit. And I'm not trying to make light of anything for anybody or make like, well, you're, one of those sad, self-pitying people. But what we see here is somebody who is wallowing and grieving over 3 things in particular. And it's not always like that with the 5 of Cups. Sometimes it's just one thing. But I'm getting here that there were 3 particular things that you did not feel you had a choice, you had to go along with, or 3 particular things that were a part of your slings and arrows, that you didn't necessarily have control over how that was going to go for you and your destiny, and you just ended up losing out majorly on those things. The whole point here, though, is to make sure that you're focusing on what you did have come out of those things, the blessings in disguise, the items that, regardless of how that all went down, you still ended up coming out on top, and there were blessings, there were silver linings. So recognize those things, focus on those, focus on the gratitude rather than the items of loss, the regret. you know. In the present for you, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. In the present for April into May, for our water signs, we have 3 again. You keep doing this. We have the 8 of Cups in the reverse, followed by the 6 of Cups in the upright, and the 10 of Wands. So, I love when they come out in groups because then I can read them as sentences. And even when they don't, sometimes you can kind of read across and kind of see. And we're going to start moving in with dignities here. We have the 8 of Cups in the reverse with the 6 of Cups in the upright. You're revisiting something rather than walking away from it in search of your own, recognition of your own self-worth. Or seeking something of greater emotional fulfillment. There's something that in the present you're not walking away from. You're not abandoning ship on something in particular. That it's almost like you're going back to revisit something to see if there's anything worth saving in those 8 cups. You're not walking away from them just yet. You're circling back to them. Sometimes can be considered reconciliation. Because normally what we see with the 8 of Cups in the upright is we see an individual here who's walking away from the 8 cups, full well knowing that in abandoning those, he's going to come across 9 cups, where he can recognize his own self-worth, his own self-love, and then travel towards a 10 of cups, something of extreme emotional fulfillment. But here, because he's not walking away from them, it almost seems as if he's re-examining those 8 cups to see if there's anything worth saving, something of a reconciliation, something of a, wait, I'm not quite ready to abandon that. I want to re-examine it. And in so doing, it seems as if there is something that's kind of, and I think this is more why. This is the why of why somebody is doing this right now. Somebody is returning back to those 8 cups to re-examine them, to see if there's anything worth saving, or to circle back around and reevaluate those 8 cups. Because there's something linked to past emotional fulfillment, a wish fulfillment, something linked with childhood, a previous relationship that was something that was of greater promise from way, way in your deep past. Something that held a great wish, a bigger, greater wish for you when you were young. When you were young. That's that song by The Killers, When You Were Young. He doesn't look anything like Jesus, but he talks like a gentleman, like you imagined when you were young. So it's like there's something about your imagination and how you imagined relationships would be when you got older. Or there could be something of a previous relationship here that held deep, great promise for you. And it almost seemed at the time as if it was your ultimate wish fulfillment in relationships. Or maybe there's a long cherished wish, hope, or goal from your childhood that you're attempting to fulfill. And it's got deep emotional promise in it. And you're not willing to walk away from that yet. So you're going back and you're reevaluating those 8 cups to see if there's anything worth saving. Probably because it is linked to childhood. And it is linked to something that was supposedly of great promise to you and fulfilled some deep wishes in the past. You know? It does come with burden and responsibility. There is something of burden and responsibilities here with that 10 of Wands. You see that person's got all of those wands on their back. And it's almost like there's a gathering up, a summing up as well here when we look at these. And I never really looked at it that way. But somebody else one time when they were reading cards, for me in particular, the only time I ever did so in person, they looked at it all as if I was gathering up all of my talents, if you will. I don't necessarily think that's true, but there's a summing up here, a gathering up of all the wands. We talked about slings and arrows here in the 5 of Cups. What if this is gathering up all of your slings and arrows? You know? What if it's gathering up all of the responsibilities, burdens, thoughts, ideas, inspiration, all of it, and putting it on your back and seeing if the burden is worth it? The evaluation of if the burden is worth it. It's a weight to carry, and you realize that. But this is a part of what you're doing here by coming back and reevaluating if it's worth coming back to these 8 cups rather than abandoning them to travel on to the 9. in looking at this as far as dignities goes, this was one of your choices when you were at an impasse with that Two of Swords in the reverse. That Eight of Cups in the reverse, being that it could also signify reconciliation as well as that reevaluation of if it's worth leaving something behind in search of something of greater fulfillment. It's almost as if you had the ability to evaluate whether you or not you wanted to. Should I stay or should I go? Yeah, it's like that. It's like you had the ability at one point when you were at an impasse, when you're at a fork in the road, to decide whether or not you wanted to evaluate something further as far as if it was worth sticking with or if it was time to move forward in search of your greater self-love. To exercise self-worth and recognize where it was time to love yourself more in search of that ninth cup, the recognition of self-love and what that means to love oneself. And if one loves oneself, then they can seek one that can provide them what they believe they are worthy of. There's something here that nags of you and kind of keeps you tied to that past, and it was a part of your decision-making process. That has to do with the past. Something from childhood, something that links you to your childhood and to the wishes, hopes, and dreams and goals that you had for yourself when you were young, you know? And unless you're 15 and you're watching this, then, you know, we all have a when we were young, right? It seems as if there have just been too many burdens and responsibilities and struggle and that feeling of I'd like to move forward knowing that I have a fresh new start ahead of me and I don't have to carry all of these burdens on with me to my next place. There's almost a place where you require an unburdening or a healing of sorts. And the choice in love here has to do with whether or not you want to continue to carry those burdens on your back with that Ten of Wands directly below the Lovers. And does emotional fulfillment what does that signify to you? Some people consider it to be a badge of honor to carry all of the burdens of the Ten of Wands. Some people consider that to be those to be trophies of sorts, you know, battle scars to be trophies of sorts. Some people, it's not considered emotional fulfillment to have to carry all of those with them. The unburdening has to happen, but there's an ending here in the present where somebody has to unburden themselves. They've got too much weight on their back. What else in the present? Yeah, there's almost like a heaviness. In the reverse here, and I am seeing this specifically, it's almost as if this is about a lack of friendship. It's almost as if these burdens on one's back during the present, somebody recognizes where all of the burdens and responsibilities have resulted in a situation where there is no lack of friendship even. And that the connection lacks a spiritual, mental, and physical element, or one of the two, or one of the three. There isn't a perfect union of those three elements within the self or within the connection. A breaking of contracts. But it's like we can't even be friends. The burdens are so much that we can't even be friends. Never mind seek this emotional fulfillment of the Ten of Cups. Somebody has to take charge of this conversation with the Emperor up here. Somebody has to lead the conversation about how we're not even friends. We're not even friends. I'm hearing that in particular. We're not even friendly. There's burden and responsibility. The only thing that it's like I'm hearing the conversation is like the only thing that ties us together is the wish of personal fulfillment and that great promise from back then. what we had, the way we were. We keep coming back trying to regain it or reevaluate to see if we can get back to that Six of Cups. But there are so many burdens and responsibilities that we aren't even friends. We aren't connecting on a spiritual level. We aren't connecting on a mental level. Um, the Trinity here, the Trinity of self, and then even the friendship. Are you seeing also here what I'm seeing? There's a contract here. Sorry. There's a contract on the table. And here in the reverse, the contract is broken. The soul contract is broken. More to the point, we usually see this as an actual contract in the tarot, an agreement or a contract, partnership. See more in the present. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay. Yeah, so this is a Page of Wands in the reverse, though. Page of Wands in the reverse. There is a lack of passionate communication or a lack of communicating ideas that's happening here. One person is not communicating passionately or with inspiration behind it. Somebody is not communicating with inspired, without the feeling behind it, without the oomph behind it, without the fire behind it. Something that somebody in the past often looks back at, or they look back at the past and see it with regret in mind. We actually see this Emperor looking down forlornly. And in the dignities here, we see the Emperor looking down at this page in the reverse. As if to say, this is something of a difficult conversation, and in this difficult conversation is something that needs to be addressed, is the lack of a passionate, inspired communication, fiery communication. Or the fiery communication that does come in isn't positive, it's negative. Tell me more. Finally, in the present. Yeah, there's an ending. It brings about a feeling of grief, sickness, sadness. The feeling that something there's finality in this. I hear nail in the coffin, the final nail in the coffin. And maybe it's just because this is such a morbid card. And it really is. It's a serious card. It's a card of pain. There's pain that results in this. And it could be that the conversation turns to how much pain was caused by somebody's fiery communications and how they were not positive. Or how somebody's lack of inspired communication and passionate communication from a positive space, how painful that was for somebody. Somebody is also going to be talking about the regret of the past regrets, the past pain, and how that ultimately resulted in the ending. But there's going to be somebody who takes the lead on this conversation. It's going to be a confident lead to the conversation. The pain is in the head and the heart and the body. But there is ending here. In the present, there are endings. There's ending to burden, but there's also ending to... It's almost as if somebody is unburdening themselves, but then also we see here that the ending is also, hey man, tarot is not happy. I hate the fact that I am the guy who has to say what's here. But I'm not going to tell you amazing things like, hey, guess what? This is an awesome card, dude. This is just going to be so great for you. I can't lie to you and say that, right? There's an ending, and it's painful. We'll see what the surrounding cards want to say when we get to the future point. So in the future for you Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. There we go. We have Knight of Swords. Impulsive action, Quicksilver. Somebody's coming in impulsively to discuss when they're reevaluating all of this stuff. They might actually be coming in impulsively. By the way, this is a Gemini card. So during Gemini season, which we are coming up to very quickly, it'll be mid-May where we'll see the Gemini energy come in. But what we will see here is we will see where somebody is impulsively communicating something. It might be just off it might be in anger. You might not be thinking straight, but it's very clear-cutting communication and action, more to the end of action as opposed to communication. But you see how there's irresponsibly, he comes in just waving his sword around like a crazy guy, lopping people's heads off. It could be after the evaluation of the reevaluation of something of emotional connection. So if we were going to take this as a warning, it would be to make sure that you're not shooting from the hip. Don't shoot from the hip in your actions. Don't come in the present looking and reevaluating all of the things that you have been through in your emotional connections and then take impulsive action as a result. Try to rather understand how difficult and hurtful this could be, because sometimes this is a harbinger and a warning that doing so could have dire consequences, and it could ruin what could be otherwise, nonetheless, still a good connection. I'm a Cancer moon, so when I think about all of the things that have to do with that, that's my emotions, that's my thoughts, that's my moods, that's the deep personal things that I hide under the night, the night of, we're in darkness, the things that I leave to address through an emotional space. We don't want our feelings to get away from us and for us to act impulsively, So when we see a guy like this, it's a reminder for us to not react. Act, don't react. And do so from a space that uses careful forethought as opposed to impulsive thought and action. Keep our wits about us. Because, you could ruin what could otherwise still be and continue to be a positive connection. Just because it isn't a romantic connection any longer doesn't mean that it couldn't still be a connection that has, positivity behind it. All right? So, anyway. Yeah, because it could be linked to the deep past for you. And you wouldn't want it to be something that just has all of its ties severed from irresponsible impulsivity, right? What else in the future for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces? Yeah, there is a passionate beginning. There is inspiration and creativity available to you. So it's almost as if what we want to do is, rather than acting impulsively and taking impulsive action, we want to use inspired creative initiation instead. Initiate a positive creative idea instead of use that to your advantage instead of impulsive, quick, ill thought out plans. Use inspired creative action as opposed, because this is forward movement, this is beginnings. We don't want to take this and use this as our beginning, because this is ill-laid plans, whereas this is the spark of the divine, the matchstick of the divine, that torch of inspiration, that ability to do something creatively and good ideas, good ideas that could be linked to your past, your childhood, wishes that you always had. If there is a creative idea or venture or some inspiration that sparked within you, you're not ignorant or oblivious, rather oblivious to the fact that it will come with responsibility and burden. You understand that, but it's that's a problem for future me. I'm hearing that. What else? It's something you've always wanted since you were young. Tell me more. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. For April through to May. In the future. Keep seeing the Three of Swords. Four of Cups in the reverse. Yeah, you're coming out of a feeling of grief, abandonment, loss, depression, where you were in a space of lackadaisical energy, where you seemed uninspired and you lacked the energy or the will to move forward in any regard. You're feeling that it's time to move forward and to embrace the cup from the divine that is being handed to you from the universe, as opposed to ignoring it. There's a feeling of like a lack of interest that you had that you're coming out of in the future. This is somebody who has a lack of interest. The lack of interest or intrigue in the fact that a cup was being handed to you from the universe. You didn't even care. Now there in the future you have an opportunity to recognize where the cup from the divine. This is emotional connections, but also emotionality. Also emotionality that is being handed to you from the universe that you can now recognize. You're not in this depressed state where you are exhibiting a lack of interest any longer. And you may have been in the past in a state of a lack of interest and laziness and just, ignoring everything around you and all of the wonderful magical signs that the universe had to offer you, because you were in such a state of, struggle and exhaustion from the not the Ten of Pentacles, from the Ten of Wands that you were carrying. And from feeling that there was no friendship energy with someone, that you didn't even have that. There was no friendliness. Yeah. You're empowering yourself. There's a reminder to move into a self, like an empowered space, where you're no longer believing that you're out in the cold. Somebody's going to feel as if they've been left out in the cold, out of this connection in the present, where that connection is no longer there. You could actually be leaving a friend out in the cold, but they might be, kind of whining about it, for lack of a better term, whining about it. They could be, talking about how they've been left behind. But that's a victimhood mindset, They're sitting outside of a church, and churches offer sanctuary. So they're upset that they're out in the cold and the rain and poor pitiful me. But the reality is that they have every opportunity to let themselves in and warm themselves. So this is about exercising in powerful thinking and powerful language, and recognizing where one has the ability to move oneself into a warmer space, whether it be a headspace or reality. I don't know. But I want to say that it has to do with communication as well. It's like how, words are spells. And the words that we tell ourselves, but also the words we use with others, create our reality. So when we're sitting in that energy of feeling, self-pity, or that victimhood mindset, using negative self-talk, those are spells. Those are things that we, put upon ourselves. And it's through exercising the use of empowering language when speaking to oneself and also in speaking to others, that we have the ability to kind of lift ourselves up and out of that hole. A lot of the time they talk about, how, attitude is everything. Attitude really is everything. You can choose to see your circumstances one of two ways. You can choose to see the things around you that you have lost, and you can choose to see the things around you that you no longer have, or you can choose to see the things that aren't going right, or you can flip the script, flip the dialogue, and you can choose to see the abundance that is around you. Because in a world where you can watch YouTube, and in a world where your lights are on, and in a world where you have food in your belly and a roof over your head, you 100% have 100% more than a majority of the world's population. You're already doing better than 75% of the world's population. Not to mention the fact that you can exercise free will. You can choose what you do every day. You can read books. You know how to read. You were taught how to read. You have rights. I mean, all you have to do is start with a list and start with, I woke up today breathing. Make yourself a coffee. Holy shit, I have coffee to drink today. I live in a place where I can make coffee. Sorry, not sorry. Sometimes even I get into a place of, not feeling great about things that are going on in my life. But you know what? When I was a kid, I didn't have electricity or running water. True story. We used kerosene lanterns. And if we needed to have a bath, we had to go to my grandfather's place. We didn't have a refrigerator or a telephone. And thank God it was -40 outside, so we could put our groceries on the back steps of our trailer. I think it's always easy to see what's not working out for you if you choose to focus on what isn't working out for you. This is choosing to focus on what is not working out for you. And in the future, you have an opportunity to see what is working out for you. Or to have that conversation with somebody else. We are all so fortunate. Just going to hop off my soapbox now. But finally, for you, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, what do we have? Okay, Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. Yes, this is why. Because there's going to be an offer that isn't going to come that you were hoping for or expecting, a contract. Or you're going to be looking at a contract that you were hoping would come, but it won't. That's going to be the thing. A new beginning of promise when it comes to your time, energy, or monetary effort. So if that one didn't come, understand that the reason that the universe gives us a no as an answer is because the universe is going to provide you a yes that you wouldn't have the opportunity to participate in because of this. If you had said yes to, if the universe had said yes to you and handed you an opportunity here, then what you were really meant to be participating in the future, you wouldn't be available to say yes to, and when the universe calls you to it. Understand that. I can fully appreciate that sometimes in life we're not in a headspace where we're willing to accept that, because it can be extremely painful and there might be a lot of sacrifice involved, and we might not necessarily be ready to hear that there was a better opportunity that's on the docket for us later on. Get it, totally understand, totally hear you on that. 100%. But just know that you wouldn't be available for something new if this ended up being something that panned out for you, right? And what else? In fact, if this did pan out for you, it would probably result in an ending that you didn't want. Just with that 10 of Swords up there, just saying that it wouldn't be what you want, because it would probably end with a 10 of Swords anyway. Oh no, I can't take those, but I'm going to take this one, because this is just kind of card vomit. 7 of Swords, yeah, exactly what I was saying, because if this did pan out, it would be treachery, and then the 10 of Swords there. If you ended up getting that offer didn't pan out, and you're feeling real bad about it, you're hurting down here, you're feeling self-pity, and you're feeling, and there's nothing wrong with feeling bad for yourself. It's just you're going to start to feel, you're going to start to sink into a victimhood mindset, and you're going to start to feel left out in the cold about something. You might even experience a hit to your finances, and you're going to be really not in a great place as far as your headspace goes, because something didn't pan out, because you're not getting an offer or a new start, a fresh start, I'm hearing. But there's a reason for it. And it's because of treachery. There's treachery involved, and it would ultimately end with that 10 of Swords. It's not something that you want. There's a better opportunity on the horizon for you that doesn't involve this. There's nefariousness involved in this, and it's okay. It's okay, let it go. It's not for you. It's not an opportunity that was meant for you because of this. Sometimes sometimes the universe rescues you without you knowing. What do they say? Rejection is protection. I think that's like a thing. It's true. Rejection sometimes is protection. Sometimes it's a good thing to hear no, so that you don't end up dealing with this. And sometimes opportunities get robbed from you in the night, so that you don't have to deal with all these swords that this person's taking away in the night from the camp, so that people can't get stabbed in the back by them, okay? So just remember that, all right? Bottom of the deck. What did I say this entire time that I kept seeing the 3 of Swords? Overall, there's pain here that you're dealing with, or that there's heartbreak in some regard. Heartbreak that either you are encountering or healing from, or heartbreak that you understand you're surrounded by, or heartbreak that you're trying to protect somebody from, or heartbreak that you're not trying to, why do I want to say bestow upon somebody? Heartbreak that you're not trying to bring upon somebody else. But there's something here that you're either trying to heal, or you're trying to, what's that song? Nobody wants to, it's something, a broken heart. It's by Paul Banks. Let me look it up. Paul Banks. I just heard it. A broken heart. It's like Julian Plenty, which is his other thing. I have to find it, and then I'll leave you alone. I'll let you go. Oh, Muzz, it's by Muzz, so it is Paul Banks. Nobody wants a lonely heart. Nobody Wants a Lonely Heart by Muzz, the band, which is still Paul Banks anyway. But yeah, nobody wants a lonely heart, and that's what you're trying to avoid. Painful, isn't it? Okay. All right, let's take a minute, ask a question. Could be a yes, no question, could be a long-winded question. I'm going to just go through this for one thing only. And I haven't quite figured out how to do this on camera so that it doesn't look like totally terrible. Because, like, yeah, that's what I want to do, but the covered makes it hard. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Focus. For Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, what is the answer to their question? Okay. You will need to accommodate. All right, kids. That's what I got for you. Thank you for watching and taking your time with me. We'll see when we see you next. Do this if this made any sense to you. Subscribe if you haven't already. And stay tuned because I think I'm just going to keep reading cards because I miss reading cards. And I got nothing else to do today until Mr. Wright gets off work, which is going to be late. So, all right, we'll see when we see you next. Okay, toodaloo.